Vice Chair of the Bernalillo County Commission. I will be chairing this meeting as our chair, Adrian Barba, is participating remotely this evening. I would like to call this May 12th, 2026 hybrid administrative meeting of the Board of County Commissioners to order. And I'd like to have a moment of silence, and followed by a pledge of allegiance. And I would ask Commissioner Benson if he would lead us in the pledge once we have a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam County Manager, are there any changes or additions to the agenda?
Yes, thank you. 9B, Fire and Rescue, Open Fire Ban 2026. Staff is requesting a floor amendment to the item requesting approval to introduce the resolution. We will not be requesting a suspension of the rules for final adoption tonight. However, we would like to proceed with the introduction to include the presentation in the public hearing to highlight ongoing fire conditions and bring back the resolution at a future meeting for final adoption. A resolution number will not need to be issued.
Thank you. Commissioners, Commissioner Olivas.
Mr. Chair, I just have a question about that. Can you clarify that again? What are we being asked to do with that?
What are we doing? So initially, when we were bringing this item to the board, there was an urgency to it based on weather and information that our staff was getting to determine whether or not we should have a fire ban that goes over multiple weeks versus a single day. And so today, the weather is looking better over the time period that I know. Well, I'll let the staff explain that part. But what we wanted to do is make sure we could do the introduction this evening, get feedback from the public, and then have the opportunity to bring back the resolution at a time that the staff feels would be more needed. But the reason we wanted to have this discussion this evening is to get feedback from you on exactly the kinds of concerns or issues that you all are interested in discussing.
So, Mr. Chair, I mean, frankly, when this item came up, I was going to actually ask for immediate action because I think we should have done this in March. And so, anyway, I just kind of don't know why we're going to continue to wait when we're in, I mean, for the folks out in the East Mountains, again, we should have done this in March. I'm not begrudging anyone. I think we're in the right place now. We're moving forward, but I would just, that's what I was going to ask for immediate action when we got there. So I guess this doesn't preclude that. I was just going to
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask Julie. I don't think it does preclude you making a determination, correct?
Correct, it does not. And the way that the agenda item was originally set up, it was for anticipation of suspension of the rules. So we don't have to take this action for change now. We can address it when it is on the agenda, when it comes up later in the agenda for presentation.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
That would be my preference, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other items, discussion points regarding the agenda? Commissioners? All right, so I presume we don't need to or should not vote on that because that's sort of up in the air still in terms of the outcome of that. So we'll just go with it as previously presented publicly. Okay, thank you. All right. Well, we'll begin by a great part of our meeting, which is proclamations. And Chair Barboa is participating, as I indicated, remotely, and she will be the first to present the Mental Health Awareness Month proclamation.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm very proud, and this is sponsored by all commissioners, as I know we all have proven both in our hearts and our votes that we care about our mental health community. So the sponsored by Commissioners Barbara Baca, Frank Baca, Adrian Barboa, Walt Benson, and Eric C. Olivas. Whereas older adults are one of the fastest growing populations in the United States, and by 2030, 1 in 5 Americans will be age 65 or older, making support for their mental and emotional health a critical public health priority, particularly during May, which is nationally recognized as Mental Health Awareness Month. And whereas aging residents experiencing mental health challenges face unique and compounding barriers such as chronic health conditions, caregiving responsibilities, grief, mobility, limitations, financial strain, and reduced social connection. Promoting mental health among this population strengthens families, caregivers, and communities while contributing to healthier aging, increased independence, and improved overall well-being. And whereas national partners, including the National Council on Aging, work to expand access to critical services, address stigma, and support individuals who have spent many years in our community through education, advocacy, and community-based initiatives. And whereas increasing understanding of mental health in later life encourages early identification, compassionate support, and culturally responsible services, which empowers individuals to seek help without fear or shame. And whereas it is fitting that we acknowledge the importance of mental and emotional wellness throughout the aging process and honor the resilience, dignity, and contributions of community members in their later years. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Bernalillo County Board of Commissioners here does proclaim May 26 as Mental Health Awareness Month and encourages residents, service providers, and community organizations to join in supporting the mental health and well-being of older adults through education, connection, and compassionate care. Done this 12th day of May 2026 in Bernalillo County, state of New Mexico. Thank you all.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, consistent with the proclamation, I have with me this evening Dr. Christopher Abbott, who is the professor of the UN Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences, and Dr. Wales Haynes, who's the assistant professor of geriatric psychiatry, and they're here to accept this proclamation and have a few remarks.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I will be taking over as the division chief at the University of New Mexico for the Geriatric Psychiatry Division, because we unfortunately are going to be losing one of our geriatric psychiatrists to retirement. Dr. Haynes and I represent a third of all geriatric psychiatrists in the state of New Mexico. And we thank you, Ms. Barboa, about the demographics. The demographics do not align with the dearth of providers, but we're doing our best and we're in good shape because Dr. Haynes is quite the advocate. She is taking over as the UNM Geriatric Psychiatry Fellowship Director, along with her duties on the Inpatient Geriatric Psychiatry Unit. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Haynes.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Abbott. I just want to say a couple of words. Thank you to the county commissioners for inviting myself and Dr. Abbott to accept this meaningful proclamation in honor of Older Adult Mental Health Awareness Day. I'm grateful for the recognition and support of the unique challenges facing our older population. As we become older as a community, it's crucial to acknowledge that our vulnerable elders are at increased risk for isolation, depression, addiction, and many other mental health concerns. In our work as geriatric psychiatrists, we witness both the suffering and the healing that our patients and families go through. Thank you for seeing them and advocating for compassionate and culturally responsive services to reduce stigma towards mental health care. By acknowledging this important issue, we shine a light on the critical need for more resources, education, and systemic change to improve the quality of life and access to care for all older adults in New Mexico. I urge you to continue prioritizing this cause and to advocate for expanded services and support so we can foster resiliency and preserve dignity. Together, we can make a lasting impact on the well-being of our families, friends, and all people aging in New Mexico. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to make one little quick statement and thank you all for coming. Thanks.
Thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you. Thank you for this proclamation, Madam Chair, because I worked for the Department of Senior Affairs for 7 years, and the work that we do with the Area Agency on Aging is Bernalillo County wide. So this is a city-county partnership as well as with the university, and so you have my full support, and thank you for what you do.
Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you all. And I would like to make one little comment about that as well, and not in context of geriatrics, but just in terms of mental health awareness. And I don't know if any of you are basketball fans, but there was like an amazing segment on a game recently before the game by the story told by Duncan Robinson, who was a player with the Detroit Pistons, who talked about the loss of his brother. It was just, on that panel were two very vocal individuals, Shaq and Charles Barkley. After that commentary and something else that was shared by one of the other panelists, they were left speechless, literally speechless. The camera just showed on them for literally a minute, it seemed longer, and nobody could say a word. So I would just encourage anybody, especially professionals, to be aware of that. That segment, and it was powerful, absolutely powerful. So anyway, thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
All right, we have another proclamation, the National Foster Care Awareness Month proclamation, presentation of a sponsor, Commissioner Walt Benson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a treat for me. And will the Alvarados please, and there's another Josiah and Joshua out there, come on down. And thank you, Marilyn, for being here, and Ann McKinney, if you would please come up. I know you don't like the spotlight, but I'm going to embarrass you. This is a treat for me, and thank you all for being here. And Marilyn, thank you for bringing this family. I love having real examples here for the commission and for public. But this is just a proclamation that I'd like to read for you. And then I know we've got a video that Josiah has created for us. And by the way, we have Ann and Marilyn are two tireless advocates for foster care, which is so needed here in the state of New Mexico. And they are fierce warriors for families and children. The Alvarados are a beautiful example of this. And thank you for being here. And we have Martin and Josiah, big Josiah. We've got little Josiah. And we've got Joshua, who's even littler, but I have a feeling won't be that much little for very long. And then we have Jerica. And then we have Martin. Thank you. Whereas every child deserves a safe and nurturing home, yet some children in our community face instability due to family hardship, and whereas foster care provides a critical safety net for children and youth who have experienced abuse, neglect, or other family challenges, offering them temporary care and support while working toward reunification or other permanent solutions. And whereas throughout Bernalillo County, dedicated foster parents, relative caregivers, social workers, advocates, and community partners work tirelessly to ensure the well-being of children in foster care and to support families in times of need. And whereas foster families who open their homes and hearts to support children play a vital role in helping children and families heal and reconnect. They are the unsung heroes who serve as the primary source of love, protection, and support to the children and youth in the foster care system. And whereas we recognize the ongoing need for more foster and kinship caregivers and encourage community members to step forward to support children and youth in need of safe, stable homes. Now therefore be it resolved that the Bernalillo County Board of Commissioners recognizes and proclaims the month of May as National Foster Care Month and encourages all residents to recognize and celebrate foster parents and to consider participating and supporting in programs that serve our most vulnerable children and youth. Done this 12th day of May, 2026, in Bernalillo County, State of New Mexico, signed all 5 of the Board of Commissioners. And anybody who wants to speak. Jose, I know you've got a video, but anybody, please.
Before I begin, I want to ask a quick question. By a show of hands, who here in this room has ever, even for a second, thought about becoming a foster parent? Thank you. Now keep your hand up if you actually followed through and became one. That right there is that is the problem with foster care today. We have plenty of people with good intentions. We have plenty of people with big hearts. But we have a massive gap between people who think about helping and people who actually open their door, and the people that fall through that gap are kids like me. My name is Josiah Garcia. I'm a sophomore in high school. I'm a foster kid. I know what it's like to live on the other side of those lowered hands. I know what it's like to be a teenager in the system, old enough to realize I'm hard to place, but still young enough to desperately need a family to tell me I'm worth the effort. I made the video that you are about to see because I wanted to show you that teenagers in foster care are not projects or problems to be solved. We are New Mexicans, we are students, we are athletes, and we are the future of the city. I made it because I'm tired of seeing my peers and friends move from office to office or shelter to shelter, simply because they are afraid of the word teenager. We don't need you to be perfect. We don't need you to have a mansion or a PhD in psychology. We need you to be a bridge. For a teenager, a foster parent is the person who teaches us how to survive adulthood. You are the one who helps us fill out a college app. You teach us how to change a tire and who shows us that one mistake does not define our whole lives. When you leave those hands down, the cycle continues. But when you step up, you change the trajectory of a life forever. You aren't just giving a kid a bed. You are giving a human being a chance to finally stop running. I am asking you tonight to move from thinking to doing. The organization that can help you bridge that gap is CYFD. They have the tools, they have the training, and most importantly, they have the kids who are waiting for you right now. As you watch the video, I want you to look at the faces on the screen. Don't see a foster kid. See a son, see a daughter. See a person who is one yes away from a totally different life. Thank you to anyone and everyone who kept their hands up. Thank you.
Thank you all. All right, we've got a proclamation that I'd like to give you, and please come up so we can take a picture. Well done.
Great job.
Thank you.
Hey, great job in the video.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks.
Thank you. Good to see you again. Thank you all. Thank you. It's an amazing video product that put together. Very inspirational. All right, we have another proclamation, also sponsored by Commissioner Benson, National Small Business Week, which is May 3rd to 9th. Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. really get emotional when I talk about the SBA.
Well, who doesn't? Has all those great feelings. I know it's a tough one to follow.
Yeah. Thank you, all brothers, for being here. God bless you all. All right, it's good that I get to read this.
Take your time.
Okay. This is for Small Business Awareness Week. And, excuse me, I apologize, just a second.
I can read that one.
I think I'm okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. All right. Whereas small businesses are the engine of the American economy and a cornerstone of a free and prosperous nation, built by individuals who work hard, take risks, and pursue the American dream. And whereas small businesses foster innovation, strengthen community connections, promote economic diversity, and provide unique goods and services that contribute to the vibrancy of Bernalillo County. And whereas small businesses play a significant role in the American economy, contributing up to 43.5% of the nation's gross domestic product. And whereas small businesses provide critical job opportunities in Bernalillo County, with approximately 75,673 small businesses accounting for nearly 98.5% of the establishments and 48.9% of employees in the Albuquerque metropolitan area. And whereas entrepreneurship is a key pathway to economic opportunity, helping individuals and families build stability and contribute to community prosperity. And whereas supporting small businesses creates jobs, sustains local economies, and preserves the unique character of the communities. And whereas National Small Business Week has been proclaimed annually by the President of the United States since 1963 to recognize the vital contributions of small businesses and highlight resources available to the U.S. Small Business Administration and other agencies. And whereas Bernalillo County proudly joins the national effort to honor small businesses and their role in maintaining strong, thriving communities, now therefore be it resolved that the Bernalillo County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaims May 3rd through the 9th, 2026 as National Small Business Week and encourages all residents to support small businesses and celebrate their many contributions to our community. Done this 12th day of May, 2026 in Bernalillo County, State of New Mexico, signed by all the Board of Commissioners. Thank you. Marcos, please.
Mr. Chair and members of the commission, I'm Marcos Gonzalez with the Economic Development Department. I'd be remiss to say that our small business economy is really what a lot of it really propels our economy here in Bernalillo County, and it was great to see all the small business and entrepreneurs and future entrepreneurs that came out during the community dialogue process and really shared what they want to see in shaping economic development going forward. And we look forward to continuing to work on those pieces. And before I introduce Shelley Brown from the SBA, just would like to also, in a different hat that I wear as president of Elevated Lending CDC, which is a partner with the SBA. In its 30-year history, we've pushed out close to over 500 million loans with the SBA of small businesses. These are small businesses that are investing capital into the state of New Mexico and have created over nearly 4,000 jobs. And so the SBA plays a great role in New Mexico and a great partner to be able to push out and help small businesses. So with that, I'll introduce Shelley Brown.
Thank you. Thank you, Commission. I know this is going to be a tough act to follow after listening to Josiah, but I want to thank you for the proclamation and remind you that, yes, small businesses are the backbone of America and New Mexico, so thank you for this honor.
Thank you. And I can speak for most people in this room. We wouldn't be here without small businesses. And thank you for all the work that you do to support the effort. Thank you. And we do have a proclamation. If you can come up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty, thank you, Commissioner, for those proclamations, and Chair Barboa. Now it'll be time for public comment. Each person will have 2 minutes. You'll be alerted about your remaining time. When your name is called, please make your way to the podium if you are speaking in person. For making your statement, please state your name for the record. To maintain order and decorum and in the spirit of professionalism and respect for everyone present, speakers must adhere to the 2-minute time limit. If the conduct of the presenter violates these rules, they may be subject to removal. And I just remind speakers that when you approach the podium, you have 2 minutes, a short period of time, so just jump right in, and rather than, asking for permission or waiting for a cue, just go ahead and introduce yourself and please start speaking. Javier, will you please call the names?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tonight we have a total of 19 speakers, with one appearing remotely. If you could please line up at the podium when your name is called and state your name for the record. First speaker is Casey Holland, followed by Mark Arnholt, followed by Grace Dukes.
Hello, my name is Casey Holland, and I'm a local farmer here in Albuquerque. I've been farming in Bernalillo County for the last 15 seasons, and I'm here in support of the amendment of the intergovernmental agreement with Ciudad Soil and Water Conservation District. Bernalillo County has some of the longest continually farmed land in North America, and stewardship of that land is currently a national crisis. We have also simultaneously one of the oldest aging population of farmers, and who is going to continue stewarding those lands is up for debate. We don't have a way to really connect beginning farmers and existing farmers. Well, the Grow the Growers Farmer Training Program is one of those ways. And I truly believe that by expanding the contract and everything with Ciudad Soil and Water Conservation District, that we are providing really vital avenues in order to support beginning farmers learning about stewardship of these lands. It just makes so much sense. The program itself also has so much opportunity in order to fill these gaps of these really desperate needs that we're facing. So thank you so much for your time.
Mark Arnholt, followed by Grace Dukes, followed by Jack West.
Greetings, Commissioners. My name is Mark Arnholt, and I'm on the Bernalillo County Youth Sports Commission. I'm the swim rep. Tonight is my first time back since we were acknowledged several months ago for our work. And as we're leaving, there was a comment made that the commissioners might look into providing some funding to help out with youth sports. So tonight I want to throw out some ideas, see if anything sticks. Before I get started, I want to let you know that your Bernalillo County Aquatics Department is in good hands. The person who's running it has made great progress in everything from swim lessons, recreational program, to water safety. The three things I'd like to throw out there are potentially providing additional funding for a coach at the Rio Grande pool, as well as the second one would be the entry-level swim meet. So, I sent you all an email with all this detail. I know 2 minutes is going to be rough to get through everything, so you can review it at your time and leisure. This swim meet would basically help out the entry-level swimmers that are out there. And I threw in an estimate of about $10,000. You can see what that all entails. And then the last one is for an adult swimming event. There's a program called GUS, Grown Up Swimming, that's hitting the world, and now it's here in Albuquerque, potentially funding that event. And it's a group from 19 to 99 that gets out from beginning swimmers to competitive swimmers, and they socialize and have a good time at these swimming events. Those are a couple things, and like I said, it's quite a bit of information that I provided you on email that you can look in, but I'm here on vacation, I know you're here, I'm here, I thought I'd throw it out, start the conversation, see where it goes. Can I continue with, all right, real quick, your aquatic director is really good, and she has also thrown out this idea of having a family swim lessons, and go into a lot of detail why that would be based upon demographics. But if your parents didn't swim, there's a good chance that you didn't swim. And I think that's also something that should be consideration for Burnco. Thank you for your time. I appreciate serving on the Youth Sports Commission, and I look to continue engagement. Please let me know if there's any way I can assist in getting these additional fundings that may be on the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Grace Dukes, followed by Jack West, followed by Joshua O'Halloran.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Grace Dukes. I live in District 3. I'm a community advocate. I'm a proud transgender woman. Here before you to speak about my concerns regarding MDC and the treatment of those held there. Mental health services are non-existent at MDC, and if someone is picked up without their medications, then they will not be given them. As someone who is on not only SSRIs but hormone replacement therapy, and as someone now vulnerable to arrest for sitting on a sidewalk under Albuquerque Ordinance 02614, this issue is personal for me. I, as many also do, need mental health services, which I would not be able to access at MDC if I was there for 30 days under 014 for the offense of simply sitting down on a public sidewalk. I would not be able to access medications that keep my mental health stable. Transgender people like myself in MDC are placed in solitary confinement because that is the only safe place for us to go where we will not be sexually assaulted, because staff do not comply with PREA standards or requirements to give us gender-accurate replacements, because now the federal government is not enforcing them. Unfortunately, when I presented Councillor Joaquin Baca with these concerns after the vote on 014, he told me that an ordinance to require transgender people accurate and safe placement at MDC and shelters according to our identity is symbolic. Our physical safety is not symbolic. The real danger of being assaulted is not symbolic. It hurt to hear someone who I used to respect so much before that say something so dismissive of the pain that we face every day and that my unhoused neighbors face. When federal regulations are eased, it is up to local government to step in and protect the people. It is up to the county and you, the commission, to ensure that mental health is provided for at MDC, that transgender people like myself are protected from sexual assault by aggressive soulmates, that you show Councillor Baca that our safety is not symbolic, that MDC does not become a debtor's prison as the mayor wants it to be. Thank you.
Jack West, followed by Joshua O'Halloran, followed by Susan Cesar-Simo.
Thank you very much. My name is Jack West. I am a lead trainer of the Grow the Growers Farmer Training Business Incubation Program with Bernalillo County at the Gutierrez Hubble House. I've been the lead trainer now for 6 seasons, and I've been a grower for 20 years, and I'm a grower for 16 years within Albuquerque, Bernalillo County. I'm here to speak in my support of the contract between Ciudad and the county and expanding that, and how important that is because we are losing our green space, or losing our farmland and our ability to sustain ourselves. And we're seeing that as extremely important. We have been improving greatly over the years with our program. We've been expanding. We have over 80 graduates of the program that have gone on to start personal businesses in food-related businesses and others. I'm finding it this extremely important that there's so many benefits involved in the growing and people growing and being around green spaces. We were just talking earlier about mental health, and the garden is a wonderful place. The farm is a wonderful place for people to work on that and to improve in that area. So I'm just here to voice my support of expanding this contract, and thank you all very much.
Joshua O'Halloran, followed by Susan Cesar-Simo, followed by Dr. Geraldo Cianello.
Good evening. My name is Joshua O'Halloran. I'm the district manager for Ciudad Soil and Water Conservation District. Ciudad, as you know, Steve Glass was here who presented on Ciudad a couple months ago. So I think you're familiar with Ciudad and the work that we do. So I'm just here as the district manager to support this ongoing collaboration that we have with the county. We do a lot of work with the county, anywhere from forestry work in the East Mountains to public education and agriculture work. So I just wanted to speak in support of expanding this IGA, this intergovernmental agreement that we have with the county so that we can continue to do this good work. Our capacity has expanded a lot in recent years, and we're able to also, we're a very nimble public body in that we can put public funds on private land. And so we have the ability to work with the larger governmental entities in the area and do a lot of conservation work. So our mission is to work in conservation within our district in any way we can. And so we're here to serve you as best we can. And I hope that we can expand this partnership and continue to do the good work that we're doing. So thank you. I'll also be here later when the agenda item comes up if you have any questions at that time. Thanks.
Susan Sarasosimo.
Can I approach the bench? I have some flyers that will inform what we're going to talk about. So I'm Susan. I am a Bernalillo County small farmer, business owner, educator, and professional permaculture designer who is very concerned about the watershed and all things permaculture related, all things farming, agriculture, ranching, particularly water. So I've emailed all of you information, the information you're getting right now. I am I'm partnering with organizations like the Soil and Water Conservation Districts, and I would like to get audience with the commissioners to actually develop an entire permaculture design series for ranchers, all agricultural producers, as well as business owners and homeowners to save our soil, save our water, save our land. We're in a conservation crisis in the drylands. My teaching is focused primarily on dryland permaculture. So there's solutions for all of the conservation land, and there's also social permaculture that goes into planning, making sure that everyone has equal access to high-quality housing, food, education, all of the problems that we all deal with or as policymakers. So I'd like the opportunity, you'll find my information emailed to you. I'd like the opportunity to meet with all of you and actually develop an entire educational program for all Bernalillo County policymakers and residents. So the information I have is appropriate and applicable to the groups I've mentioned, decision makers, residents, agricultural producers, and landowners. That's it.
Thank you.
Dr. Geraldo Cianello, followed by Tad Neminsky, followed by Ralph Villegas.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the County Commission. My name is Dr. Geraldo Cianello. I am an alternative health doctor and minister. It took me nearly 10 years to become a legal, naturalized American citizen, which blessed me with faith, family, and freedom that we all enjoy. Last Thursday was the National Day of Prayer at Civic Plaza, hosted by Steve Stucker. And for those of you who doesn't know that, National Day of Prayer was created in 1952 by joint resolution of Congress and signed into law by President Harry S. Truman. We are commanded in the Holy Scripture to pray for those in authority for help, peace, wisdom, discernment, humility, and repentance. 1 Timothy chapter 2, I urge you, first of all, to pray for all people. Ask God to help them, intercede on their behalf, and give thanks for them. Pray this way for kings and all who are in authority, so that we can live peaceful and quiet lives marked by godliness and dignity. This is good and pleases God our Savior, who wants everyone to be saved and understand the truth. For there is one God and one mediator who can reconcile God and humanity, the man Christ Jesus. He gave his life to purchase freedom for everyone. 2 Chronicles 7:14. And if my people who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, forgive their sin, and heal the land. This historic national rededication, 250 years, happening on the National Mall on May 17. I cannot imagine what the people were going through 250 years ago, where they want to become independent from Great Britain, but dependent on God as one nation under God. That is, we celebrate Independence Day on July 4th. May God bless you, commissioners, and your family, so that we may all live peaceful and quiet lives marked by godliness, dignity, and integrity. Thank you so much for all what you do.
Thank you.
Tad Neminsky, followed by Ralph Villegas, followed by Mark Villegas, followed by Diana Villegas.
Thank you. My name is Ted Niemiecki. Okay, let me begin what happened this morning. While I was waiting on Hadar Urban at County Commissioner Manager Office, waiting area. That time, passing by, there was meeting. And open door, next thing, this hairless head guy next to me sitting, get up and shut the door. And that burned me up. That's what brings me up to how accessible government is to all public. Transparency, accessibility, and open meeting act violations. Catholic charity, back pocket, being growing up in 90% Catholic country, when a principal of the school, grade school, came to one day and took the crosses from classrooms. Well, right here, then we have to go to church having classes. Now, here we have law. Separation, church and state. That's why I brought Catholic Church struggling. I don't have any more time. Do have to go to the court. Speaking about Open Meeting Act violation, probably I have no choice according to Hagar. Thank you.
Ralph Villegas, followed by Mark Villegas, followed by Diana Villegas.
My name is Ralph Villegas. I'm here to oppose, I guess you guys are doing the purchase on 301 Shirk. I live on Shirk, and I think that putting a community center there is probably going to bring more homelessness, drug activity. The community center that you guys, well, it's supposed to be open space, right? You guys are trying to put an open space or a park there at the 301 Shirk Lane property. Yeah, so I think you guys buying that property is going to probably lower the values in that area. And like I said, I put a lot of time and money to try to, lift the values in that area and, have all my family there, my dad, my sisters, and I just think it's not a good idea, so.
Mark Villegas, followed by Diana Villegas, followed by Marcy McGuckin.
Yeah, my name is Mark Villegas. I live at 300 Shirk Lane Southwest. I'm basically opposed to the purchase of this property for a park. And like you said, I mean, in our area, if I saw security and all that stuff, I'd be for it, but I've lived there 27 years. It used to be my dad's home, and we just don't have the security, and I just believe, like what my son said, we just have probably more problems with people just, the homelessness, drug activity that we basically see now, so. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Diana Villegas, followed by Marcy McGuckin, followed by Augusta Farley.
Hi, my name is Diana Villegas. I am a mother of 2 beautiful kids. I'm also a nurse. As you heard, my brother and my dad, I live on Shirk Lane. I grew up there. There is crime, there is homeless, but now that I've been at this meeting, you know, spending some $1 million, I think would be used more in other resources. I'm also a nurse. I think the fact that we can utilize those money into, you know, geriatrics, foster care, farming, I do think, as much as I understand what a park will do, I think money like that should be used in other resources. Thank you.
Marcy McGuckin, followed by Augusta Farley, followed by Joel Villarreal.
Good evening. My name is Augusta Farley. I have been following the proposals for the open space and possible community center park location. However, I was very surprised to learn of the current decision to place it on Shirk Lane, which I don't believe was one of the past options. How much public involvement was included for this decision? If I understand the location correctly, citing it on 301 Shirk Lane will add congestion with subsequent environmental pollution and noise to an area that is now tree-lined and peaceful, dominated by single-family homes. It is one of 2 green, safe, and peaceful places that I walk near Shirk Lane. I urge you to reconsider. Place this project in a more appropriate and accessible location closer to current activities near 2nd Street. We don't need more sprawl, which in the long run only exacerbates everything the neighborhood is trying to avoid. Thank you.
Joel Villarreal, followed by Jimmy Bea, followed by Genevieve Mitchell, followed by Lonnie Ann Fredman, followed by Holly Diaz.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. My name is Joel Villarreal. I help represent the workers here within Bernalillo County. At the last meeting, the budget meeting, you all passed a 1% raise for our Bernalillo County employees, subject to negotiations. 1% in and of itself falls short when considering the needs of our employees. It doesn't even keep up with inflation. But it at least would have helped in trying to keep our wages from being further eroded from rising costs. However, representatives for the county have made it clear there was not any money set aside for this raise. Currently, for that to materialize, we must agree to eliminate positions, thereby agreeing to erode our bargaining units. Moreover, it appears that the different unions must agree to this because it requires our cooperation in order to fund the needed raise for other people. Our ask is simple. We're asking you to fund the proposed raise. The county is expecting healthy growth in revenues this next fiscal year. While we feel that the decision to go to zero-based accounting, as has been explained to us, was ill-timed, our employees should not have to pay the price for that choice. Again, half of our white-collar positions make less than $20 an hour. Many of those positions, if not most of them, are around 17-something, maybe $18 an hour. About a quarter of our blue-collar positions are in the same boat. So our ask again is simple. Please find the funding in the revenues that are coming in to fund that raise. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Commissioner.
Just a quick point of personal privilege. Mr. Dowell, thank you for being here and thank you for your advocacy for our workers. I'm really concerned about what you're saying and, you know, to my colleagues up here, the original proposal that I had drafted was intended to limit those, you know, freezes and cuts to positions. There were still some, but those were largely borne on the backs of tech companies and contracts that the county had chosen to prioritize. I wanted to cut those, and that was not the decision that the management team and the commission ultimately reached. And as I said at the time, there was a suggestion of a deferral, and I wish we would have deferred it because I don't think that we had the information we needed to understand the effect of those freezes on our working staff and people that serve in those front lines. And I think I'm sorry about that. And I think we've got to do a better job making decisions and not doing those decisions under the gun like that. We've got to give ourselves the time that we need to understand the ramifications of what we're doing. And I wish we would have stuck with my original proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I would just say that we do not believe it was the intent of the commission to do that. I mean, it was, as you could see, it was happening real time, and a lot of that seemed to be happening pretty quick. But we would also convey to you all, this is not a final thing. The budget, it's a budget. You guys can amend that at any time that you guys want. And we would ask you guys to please do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jimmy Bea, followed by Genevieve Mitchell, followed by Lonnie Ann Fredman, followed by Holly Diaz.
Good afternoon, Commission and Administration. I am a landowner there at the end of Shirk Lane where this proposed purchase agreement is going to be. And I will say this, as a board member of the Mountain View Neighborhood Association, it has recently come to my attention that this community is going through some god-awful changes, guys. We have a 94-acre Yes neighborhood program going in at the corner of Rio Bravo and 2nd Street. We have a proposed trash depot there that's going to be in the Prosperity Broadway area that's going to initiate about 600 trucks a day on a 55-mile-an-hour state highway, referred to oftentimes as Broadway. Now we have a proposed 40-acre park, which I am not against. I will say that if it's done properly. I think that this is a great opportunity for Bernalillo County to kick back, and with the ladies, permaculture is take an overall view and a different approach to their park program and the instilling of this. Finally, I will say that it deeply concerns me as a farmer in that area. I say this with humility, close to 100 acres on that road, that as this pie we call water shrinks, we need everybody's help to get together. And I would implore this commission to work with MRGCD, AMAFCA, Interstate Stream Commission, the OSE. All of these entities need to come together. And this could be a wonderful opportunity for this park to be something that not only the county is proud of, but also the state. Thank you.
Genevieve Mitchell, followed by Lonnie Ann Fredman, followed by Holly Diaz.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Genevieve Chavez Mitchell. I'm a member of the Mountain View Neighborhood and the Mountain View Neighborhood Association and previous president of the Mountain View Neighborhood Association. I'm here to support Agenda Item 10, the purchase of 301 Shirk Lane. I live on Shirk Lane, right down the street from the school. Mountain View definitely needs a park, and it would be wonderful if we could propose green space and permaculture and those kinds of needs into that space. It's close to the school and would be beneficial for the families of the Mountain View community. Additionally, I think it's really important that we develop a community area rather than high-priced homes on that property. So I urge the members of the commission to approve the acquisition of 301 Shirk Lane. Thank you.
Lonnie Ann Fredman, followed by Holly Diaz.
My name is Lonnie Ann Fredman. I've lived in the Mountain View neighborhood for some 38 years, and I come here to speak highly of the purchase of the land for the park. Mountain View has gone through a lot of different horrible activities over the years, as was just shared about the transfer station, the pollution, the air pollution, and this is the chance, I think, to bring the community together. I went to probably most of the Mountain View neighborhood associations discussing this park, and there was really strong enthusiasm for it. And I was most excited by the children that made dioramas and art projects to show what they wanted in a park. Mountain View is a environmental STEM school, which means that a park such as this with open space could provide a lot of opportunities for the children, not only as part of field trips, but in their individual lives. And I'd like to just share a few things the children talked about in terms of, I also volunteer at Mountain View in their Juntos Leamos reading program. They wanted things that we usually hear children say about a park, such as slides, ball fields, places to walk, even a dog park. Some wanted a little pizza shop or a cotton candy stand. I was most impressed, well, I can't even say most impressed, but what was so interesting and wonderful is that one of the groups of children, I think it was the 4th grade, talked about they wanted a park that would be usable for children who use wheelchairs and have autism. And they talked about swings, and they talked about quiet places for children to be able to feel comfortable. They really showed a lot of enthusiasm, and as an art therapist and a person who loves art, I was so impressed by all of their creativity. Thank you.
Holly Diaz.
Hi there, my name is Holly Dietz. I live at 400 Shirk Lane. And in the big picture, if the county commissioner stays with what they're talking about and doing open space, green space, maybe a community center. My fear is that there is no commitment at this point. It's we're gonna buy the land and we'll decide what's gonna happen after the fact. This is what's happened at Sandia Ranch, which I'm also part of, 20 acres that was supposed to be for the county, a community center, open space, big nice picture. And then 5 acres gets cut off because we wanna put a school in. I guess what I've also heard about it's a lovely 40 acres, that APS is gonna be involved. What does that mean? It's gonna be involved for the kids because they're gonna have gardens, or it's because we're gonna put a little branch of a middle school there? I think I'm not comfortable with you guys making no commitment to us that there is gonna be this amount of open space, this amount of parks, and this is gonna be a community center. Because at this point, what's happened on Edith has not been what the taxpayers voted for. So, you know, if it's a rosy picture and you guys are following the rosy picture, I'm all for it. If it's not, and you go behind our backs and put other projects in there that you decide needs to happen in our area, not for it. Thank you.
This concludes our in-person speakers. We will now move on to our speaker on Zoom, Ian Colburn.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hello. Good evening. My name is Ian Colburn. I am a small business owner in the county. I co-own and operate a 2-acre farm on the other side of the river from Mountain View, that is. I'd like to make comment on a few things this evening. As some of the earlier speakers beginning of the evening spoke to, I want to speak in support of the Ciudad Soil Water Conservation District's management or relationship with the county and the Grow the Growers program, training local folks in agriculture is an amazing idea. One of the things we're missing in sustaining, maintaining, and growing our agricultural heritage and future in the county is our experienced people with the skills to do this work and run a business and grow the food for our state. I could speak at length about the importance of getting people on the land, and how important it's important for our community, how it's important for our environment, how it's in line with the mission that the commission has spoken to for forever about maintaining our agricultural nature, of the area and not letting it turn into a fully urban area. And so as a small farmer in that area just up the street from Hubble, we have greatly benefited from seeing graduates come through and become colleagues for other small business owners. We've employed some of these people. They have volunteered on our farm. It is a win-win-win. And we've worked with SLUDA in the past, and we are confident in their ability to successfully manage this program. And we encourage you, Chair Baca, to continue to give them the opportunity to run this very vital program for the county and the state. And furthermore, I want to speak on the 301 acquisition. In regards to maintaining the agricultural character of the county, this is a great purchase, and I couldn't applaud you guys more on this. I've seen so much agricultural land, acres and acres of alfalfa turn into big 1 acre developments on our side of the river, and it's really sad. So along with those other residents on Shirk, I celebrate that. And maybe you can put in some binder, though, that land has to stay in green space. You can't move more than 10% of it out. And lastly, if there's, you need to find money for the union contract, supposedly maybe taxing those folks across the street who just want to increase everybody's property value with these ugly homes on our farmland would be a great idea. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you for all those comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This concludes our public comment.
Thank you. All righty. At this point in time, we will move on to our consent agenda. And I would ask the clerk office to provide resolution numbers. And please correct me if I'm wrong, but item 6E, 6H, 6I, and 6J, and I believe also 9B. Is that correct? Is that what we? Yeah.
Mr. Chair, for now, if we could just convene with the consent agenda numbers. So not issuing 9B at this time.
Okay, thank you, yes. Okay, so.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I don't know if it'll affect this, but I wanted to request that we pull item K for the withdrawal agenda. This is the Isleta Amphitheater parking lot.
To remove it from the agenda? Is that
To remove it from the consent agenda
okay.
and move it to the withdrawals, item 7.
Okay. Any objection to that, Commissioner? No objection to that? I think that's. Are there any other changes or modifications? So I think for now, we just get the resolution numbers for the consent agenda items, and then we'll deal with the 9B when we get that.
Correct.
So please.
Yes, 6E is AR 2026-51. 6H is AR 2026-52. 6I is AR 2026-53. And 6J is AR 2026-54.
Thank you. All righty. Now, having removed item 6K from the agenda, from the consent agenda, I would entertain a motion to approve the remaining items on the consent agenda.
Motion to adopt this consent agenda.
Motion, second? Second. Motion and a second to approve. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand.
Aye.
That's approved. 3-0.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If Madam Clerk can call the roll for the remote participant. Thank you.
Yes. Commissioner Olivas.
Yes.
Commissioner Benson.
Yes.
Commissioner Barbara Baca. Commissioner Frank Baca.
Yes.
Commissioner Adrienne Barboa.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank
So
you.
called, thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. Passes 4-0. All righty. So goes to adoption of resolutions. And just from my understanding, clarification, where would item 6K be moved to?
Mr. Chair, so that would move to 7, as it'll be the new 7A under consent withdrawals. So that will be the next item to be heard.
All right, that'll be under consent agenda withdrawal. That makes perfect sense. Thank you. All righty, so 7K, now 7A is the technical services Asleta Amphitheater additional parking lot project. And I do see Mr. Lopez here and prepared to present.
So my apologies, I don't have a PowerPoint ready on this item, but I can discuss it. I'm Brian Lopez, Technical Services Director for Public Works. This item is for approval for change order for Asleta Amphitheater parking lot. The scope of the work consisted of constructing a parking lot and 2 access road connections. While the contractor was constructing or reconstructing the east access road, solid waste was encountered. At that time, once the solid waste is encountered, it can't be put back into the ground, so it was fully excavated, and this change order is to cover the cost of taking that solid waste to an appropriate facility, and then also for the additional cost that it's going to take to bridge the poor materials and reconstruct the road. Let's see. The cost of the change order is just under $500,000, and we'll add 12 days to the contract. The cost for the change order is going to be covered by the revenue sharing from Live Nation, which typically would go to O&M and pros, but they have agreed to use that funding to cover the cost of this change order, along with some additional funds, since this project is under construction. The original item was brought forth before the commission for approval for the money, the $2.5 million, to do the design and construction of the parking lot, and it's to help alleviate some of the parking issues that are happening out there at the amphitheater itself. During the design process for this project, we did have a geotech report done. There were well over 30 borings that were performed as part of this project. And there's an 800-foot stretch in between 2 borings that came up clean, but when the construction started, we did hit that solid waste material, as this area is abandoned landfill. So we did our due diligence as we would do for any other project. It's just unfortunately we found an instance that there was material there that we didn't expect to be.
Thank you.
With that, I can stand for any additional questions.
Okay. Commissioner Olivas, do you have any?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So Director, so you said 2.5 million was the original cost. What does this bring the total to?
Just about 3 million. This change order will add an additional 500,000.
Okay.
To that cost.
Right around $3 million. And this is for a road or a parking lot, or you said a road?
It's both. So we're building an access road to the parking lot. And so where the parking lot is where the abandoned landfill cell was. The road that was being improved has been existing, and there was really no indication that there would be landfill material there. And, you know, like I said, we did do bores, but we typically do those at every 1,000 feet. and this was an 800-foot stretch in between bores. They did end up removing 3,000 cubic yards of solid waste within that stretch. And part of the reason for the high cost of this is the nearest landfill that can accept that material is in Valencia County.
Okay, understood. And so this is an access road to the Journal Pavilion Mesa del Sol parking lot. That's what the road is?
Correct.
Okay. And you said, so how long would you anticipate that $3 million is going to last? In other words, when will we have to put more money into it to rehab the lot again?
So right now, that should be enough to get, I don't have an exact number, but we should get a decent service life out of this. We're paving the road, but the parking lot itself, because it is on the landfill, we are just using base course with bumpers. So that can be regraded and maintained. So we shouldn't necessarily, outside of a potential future maintenance cost occasionally, there shouldn't be like additional requests related to this work for some time. This is, I mean, typically on our base course roads that you would kind of find in the East Mountains and whatnot, I mean, once those go in, there's not a reoccurring project cost, but there is a maintenance cost that's associated just to maintain them.
Okay. So, you know, I guess my concern, the rub here for me a little bit, sorry, one more question is just when did this project sort of come on to the radar as a priority project, or, you know, how long has it been around? Not the construction and design, but when did it sort of come onto the radar?
Mr. Vice Chair, Commissioner Olivas, I don't have the exact time frame because a lot of those concerns were being brought forth to O&M and pros as tied to the facility. I know that the discussion for the parking lot has been ongoing for probably about 1.5 years.
Okay, very good. Yeah, so I mean, you know, my concern there, and that this concern I think was raised at the time when the original item went through, is just, you know, just making sure that we have our priorities straight. And I get it, you guys have a lot of roads, a lot of facilities to maintain. And, but, you know, I'm just thinking about the folks out in the East Mountains that are advocating for, you know, they only have one way in and one way out of their neighborhood. And they're asking us to help, you know, acquire and build an emergency relief route for if there's a fire or other weather event that, you know, makes it unsafe. Or we have residents that, you know, their roads have giant ruts in the middle of the road and they have to, you know, they can only use one side of the road or something like that. And so, you know, for me, it's just, the rub is just a priority rub. I get it that this is, you know, this is when this facility is well used, it's well used. I get that. But a lot of times I also know it's not used at all, right? It can be vacant for a long time when there's nobody out there. So I really wish that we would, you know, have a more comprehensive look at these things. And the reason I asked you how long this has been on the radar is, and you're gonna know this project, but Tablazón, that project predates me. So that's been, you know, at least 4 years, I think, based on our conversations. That was like 2020, 2021, that project really took off. It's still not in construction. And so, you know, that's a lot of time. That's 6 years for a project that benefits a neighborhood, a community of people that come in and out of there every day. And this project, for whatever reason, I'm not saying there was any malice, but that, you know, this project has gotten the fast track and a lot of resources. So I just really hope we can do a better job. You know, this $500,000, this is the entire earmark for the East Mountains that we have in our budget. I know that more goes into there than that, but the earmark that's called out for East Mountain roads is $500,000. So a change order on a parking lot is the entire east region of the county, which is also more than half of our roads. So I just wanted to put that in perspective and you know, say a few words about that it's very frustrating as we're trying to advocate for resources for our roads, our communities. That's what they're asking for. And it just doesn't seem like we're able to get the resources and also the speed that this particular project has gotten. So I hope we can make all the projects this fast and this well-resourced. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And sorry to cut you off, Commissioner Olivas. And also for clarification, I know we are calling it the Salida Amphitheater parking lot, but this additional parking space will also support the Mesa del Sol soccer facility complex that is also just nearby, and the nearby COVID Memorial as well. So it is all kind of intertwined in there, so.
And I just want to weigh in. I understand the frustration. I think all of you have raised that with me at one point or another in terms of why are some projects ahead of others and how does that process work? And we'll be coming back to you with the CIP process because the intent of that is really to be able to prioritize far in advance what projects are going to go in what order, and frankly, also make sure that we can be positioned to be more opportunistic to look for money and sources of funding for all of our different priorities. So I think the frustration will, we understand it, and we're looking forward to bringing forward the CIP and getting that ordinance structured, getting that committee on board, and starting to move more transparently in terms of what's prioritized and what sources of funds were used.
Any other comments? Just to follow up on Commissioner Olivas' comments, I think that issue of priorities is very key. I know we've talked about that. I mentioned that as before in terms of just in communication with people on staff, in terms of really thinking hard about our priorities in terms of safety. You indicated I need an escape route from a fire potentially. I think a lot in my district and a conversation I had with people that have about schools and having safe spaces around schools, sidewalks, or other sorts of things that provide safety. So when we go through that process, I know we're going to be thinking about that and talking about that. And to me, again, it's not just the age of the road or how long it's been on the list, but I think we need to think about those sorts of items, whatever they may be, that the commission decides, jointly to help us decide what is a priority. And for me, when it involves, kids in school, that to me is a high priority. And certainly there's, others that people have in their districts. And so I think that will help, lead that. I totally agree with that suggestion in terms of having a robust discussion about the priorities and how we fund things. But anyway, any other comments or questions? If not, I move to approve the new item 7A.
Second.
There's a motion to approve and a second. Any other comments or discussion? If not, we need a roll call? Okay.
Commissioner Olivas.
No.
Commissioner Benson.
Yes.
Commissioner Barbara Baca.
No.
Commissioner Frank Baca.
Yes.
And Commissioner Adrian Barboa.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. The motion is approved. A vote count to 3-2. Is that correct? All right. Thank you. Thank you. All righty. Now moving on to introduction of resolutions. And item 9A will be introduction of fiscal year 2026 third quarter budget reconciliation. And DCM Shirley Reagan is going to be presenting.
Amended birth certificate. If the child's name is being changed, they will have an amended birth certificate with the name as given by the adopted parents. And then the original birth certificate will be placed under seal by the Bureau of Vital Statistics. And that is basically the process.
Pardon us.
Okay. So it's open. That's not it. That's not it.
It's in the file presentations on the desktop.
But there we go.
Good evening. I'm Shirley Reagan, Deputy County Manager for Finance. Mr. Chair Frank Baca and Commissioners, I'm here to present the fiscal year 2026 third quarter budget reconciliation item. So the action required this evening is introducing a financial resolution to budget $4,012,583 for the MDC medical contract expenses in FY26 by appropriating $1,975,451 from the equalization distribution gross receipts tax in the general fund and $2,037,132 of the fund balance appropriation from the healthcare GRT fund. The MDC medical contract for fiscal year 26 is projected to total, or was budgeted at $34,465,319. I'm going to deviate a little bit from this because we didn't have the updated slide. The FY26 medical contract budget was $27 million, which is here, $452,736. And that was included in the county's FY26 budget that was approved on May 13th, 2025 by the BCC. The $27.5 million was based on preliminary estimates received from UNMH. We received their final budget proposal for FY26 on July 1st, 2025, which totaled $31,465,349. And that was after the budget was approved and submitted to DFA. This increase to the FY26 contract of $4 million primarily reflects increased staffing requirements, increased staffing, such as the use of travel nurses instead of hiring nurses because of the hiring shortage and the shortage of staff. The background here, the equalization distribution, we normally budget a portion of that. For the FY26 budget, we budgeted $8.3 million, and it actually came in at 10.2. So we are requesting the appropriation of an additional amount to help offset the costs, the increase of the medical contract. In the healthcare GRT fund, it also has a fund balance, and so we're proposing at the end of fiscal year 25, it had a $11,675,000 fund balance. We had to subtract out the carryovers and the third quarter reconciliation, which gives us the available going into 26 of $7.5 million. This wasn't updated, I'm sorry. This is also going into the 27 amount that we will be pulling from the contract, which was presented in the FY 27 budget presentation. So I stand for any questions.
All righty, thank you. Commissioner Jeff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. DCM Reagan, so your staff gave me a prompt reply on this, and it's kind of the same question, but I'm still just grappling with it. So we knew it was going to cost this much, but we didn't budget this. I just am not understanding
So
why.
at the time, Chair Frank Baca, Commissioner Olivas, at the time that we budgeted, we prepare our budgets early. So when we prepared our budget and presented, in our talking and conversations with UNMH, they didn't have a true, they hadn't calculated what their budget was going to be for FY26. So we used what we were known at that time from FY25, knowing that we were going to have to make an adjustment. We requested that they submit their budget sooner, but they did not in time for us to submit with our budget approval. We wanted to get the majority of it in there so that we could be able to start continue on July 1. They submitted their final budget proposal on July 1, long after it had even gone and we had received approval from DFA to proceed with our budget. So we knew at that time we had a shortfall. We were waiting for September adjustments to kind of see how the year was going out. We knew we were going to appropriate dollars out of the healthcare GRT fund balance, but we also had that additional incremental amount in equalization distribution, which comes in around September of each year. So we used those two figures, and we were kind of looking to see if anything else was going to change, because we've been in lots of conversation with UNMH, as you know, just trying to get things settled down and understand where what's driving the costs. And primarily, it was staffing related to the use of travel nurses.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And so just to be clear now, this year, for the budget we just approved last meeting, we're around 36 million, correct?
Correct.
With the addition. So, did we get a budget for that? Did they send us something
Yeah,
that justifies
may I
that?
jump in, if that's okay, through the chair? So, we, as you know, have had an ongoing challenge in terms of right-sizing the medical contract for MDC. And we brought to you in the budget process a budget that we agreed to with them in our healthcare JPA meeting, and it is less money than they are asking for. What we agreed to with them was to engage in a staffing study by a third party, so we would have agreement about what the actual investment needs to be in the facility. In addition to that, we are working closely with them to look at opportunities to right-size the overall contract. And just one example that Ms. Reagan just referred to is that we know that in many, many instances that that UNMH is relying on traveling nurses, and they're extraordinarily expensive. And so one of the questions that we're really trying to wrestle with them is how do we ensure opportunities to have less traveling nurses than we do today? And as you know, that's a crisis for the entire state. But we are really anxious to get that traveling nurse number down. And so that's an example of the kind of thing that we continue to work with them on today. So there are a number of issues, and a number of them we've had the opportunity to discuss with you previously, but that's for us, part of the challenge is really right-sizing this partnership.
So I'm pretty sure the answer was yes, sort of. They submitted a budget, but it's not necessarily the budget that we funded. Is that?
Let me be clear. They submitted a budget that we did not agree to because it was so excessive. And as you heard from a previous speaker, one of the concerns we have is how much resource we have for our ongoing budget to be able to pay for reoccurring activities and services. I forgot what the total is that they were proposing, but what we agreed to was we came to an agreement on the budget pending a staffing analysis. So I honestly can't tell you that I know the outcome of what that analysis is going to be, but in good faith, both partners are willing to roll up their sleeves to take a look at what is the appropriate level of funding that's required for the appropriate level of service.
Do we have any, Mr. Chair, do we have any idea when the staffing study will be completed? Is it
Yes,
started?
in late fall right now is our target. So we're really looking at maybe the October, November timeframe.
Okay, great. I appreciate the opportunity to dive into this a little bit. It's a really important topic. I know this is kind of looking backwards on last year, or well, the end of this year, I guess. But, I was talking about this earlier today, and I think it's important that we acknowledge this is, the folks in our custody in this facility are by and large the sickest people in our community in a number of ways, right? Physical health, mental health, social health, drug addiction, right? You name it. So, it is a very expensive situation, right? To put a lot of people with health problems of all kinds together and then try to, keep them alive and improve their health even, which is ideally, we want people to leave that facility better off than they came in. So, I acknowledge that it's expensive, but I think it just speaks to the need for us to get ahead of that curve. Obviously, we're gonna have to deal with this, but it makes prevention stuff like we're doing in Mountain View maybe later, right? Ways to intervene earlier just seem a lot less expensive and a lot more proactive than trying to, fight over traveling nurses versus local nurses. And I'm not disagreeing with that strategy, but just, we're fighting the curve from the wrong end. And so I know that we're trying to do that. And so I hope we can continue to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? I don't know, Commissioner Barbaugh, if you wanted to weigh in or not or that, but if not, that's fine. But I just want to know if there's any other questions or comments.
Make a motion for approval? Oh, sorry.
I can second that.
And there's a second.
Oh, like a second. And I'll just make a quick, I think this is complicated and to everybody's point, it is one of the most important things that we have to work on. And we have to work on it together we are braided, I keep saying with UNM, we are in this braid of work and service to our communities. And so we have to work to get to a place. And I think I'm glad that we're bringing it up as such an important issue because I think all of us should think it's important. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. Any other comments, Commissioner? In that case, we would call for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Olivas.
Yes.
Commissioner Benson.
Yes.
Commissioner Frank Baca.
Yes.
Commissioner Adrienne Barboa.
Yes.
Thank you. And Commissioner Barbaugh needed to leave a little bit early. All right, that passes 4-0. Thank you so much, Ms. Reagan, for the presentation. Now we're moving on to item 9B, the Open Fire Ban 2026. And I see Chief Lardy, Mr. Walmsley here present to talk to us about that.
Good evening. Make sure you can hear me. Mr. Vice Chair, members of the commission, thank you for having us tonight. My name is Zach Lardy. It's my honor to serve as the Bernalillo County Fire and Rescue Fire Chief. So tonight with me is are represented several departments and our overall response in the county to the preparedness associated with open burning and really our fire season. Our goal tonight is to really talk with you as the commission and also the community at large about the risk that exists for fires, this fire season specifically. I know we've met individually with a lot of you commissioners, and our goal is to continue that process to make sure that you're well informed of the risk within our community. So although you'll hear from Director Walmsley and I tonight, and we have personnel from Public Works, and they are here available to answer questions for you tonight. I want you to be assured that this is responsive the entire local government here. We have been coordinating with all of the county departments. We've been doing so under the leadership of the county manager and her team for the last couple of months as this process has evolved. So I think it's fitting for me to start with kind of an overview of where we find ourselves today. So over the last several months, we've closely monitored the local conditions and implemented several new strategies aimed specifically at reducing wildfire risk within Bernalillo County. Our biggest shift has been the use of data in a data-informed decision-making manner to make sure that we're addressing the risk as it exists and that we're responsive to that risk as it develops and evolves. Emergency Manager Walmsley tonight will talk with you about weather conditions that have set the stage for what this wildfire season will look like. And then I'll be back in a couple of minutes to talk about what we're doing to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commission. As Chief Lardy said, we've taken a very different approach this year when it comes to the monitoring of weather. We're currently in severe drought conditions. The month of March was historic for us. It was 11 degrees warmer on average, and I think we set 9 different individual records as far as weather goes that month. I don't want to say the good news, but we are in a better position this year as far as drought goes as opposed to last year. What our concern is the snowpack. And again, that snowpack is what protects us, protects the fuels as we move into the summer months. This graph right here is the statewide snowpack. And there's a couple of important colors that are on here. Green is the average that we see over the last 25 years as far as when that snowpack dissipates back to nothing. The red line is the worst conditions that we've seen over the last 25 years. And that black line right there is this year. Where we really saw the biggest concern is in that month of March, which is that big dip that's there. I've highlighted, or there's a black circle on there, that's June 10th. And I would say we're basically a month ahead of schedule at this point. We're very, very close to looking at that snowpack being completely depleted at this point. Red flag warnings are something that a lot of us are familiar with, and we've taken a different approach this year. We've worked very closely with the National Weather Service over the last year to really understand what goes into a red flag warning. I think most of us understand that humidity and wind speed are an important part of that, but there's another factor in there, which is the fuel loading that goes behind that. And when I mentioned the snowpack, as that snowpack starts to evaporate, the conditions get worse. And I think we understand that, but we also found that there's a scoring that goes behind the issuing of a red flag. And we're taking that in a very proactive approach this year, looking at 7 days out from us and what does that mean for us? And when they issue a red flag warning, we kind of have a better understanding that it's not just a red flag warning, but the factors that are actually going into that. Chief?
Thanks, Tom. Mr. Chair, Commissioners, so Bernalillo County is, along with the entire state, is really experiencing this drought. We're definitely not alone in this. I think that it's really important that we try to identify ways to improve our approach. And for this year, our wildfire season, our responses, I think, have really driven how we would ultimately address wildfire and wildfire risk within the county. So on this chart, what you're looking at is the data for the first 4 months. When we first started down this path, we had data just through March. And as you can see, that it looks a little better. Our firefighters out in the field, we're feeling the impact really significantly in March. That situation has improved, but we're not out of the woods. And our goal here is to make sure that we're maintaining a vigilance and being ready for these threats. Data from the first 4 months for this year was really revealing. In January, there were 0 high-risk fire days that were identified by the National Weather Service. During those high-risk fire days, we had 11 qualifying wildfire-type incidents that happened countywide. In March, we had an especially impactful month that was especially taxing on our resources. We saw an increase, a significant increase in the high-risk fire days, and tracking along that increase were also an increase in those fire responses. We saw 40 fire responses in that, and we were hearing from our crews, you can imagine right away that they were feeling something very different as we had that sort of drying trend late in February that really started to impact us in March. Early April brought some moisture, as you might remember. We started to get some rain, and it had a pretty significant impact, as you can see. The fire responses in the month of April dropped to 13. While we did see a continued risk, it continued to exist on the high-risk fire days. They just didn't track because we had that moisture that was really critical for where we would ultimately end up. So as we move into the next few months, as I'm sure you know, weather can be notoriously difficult to predict. We've seen the gamut in the last couple months, and we anticipate we'll continue to see some weather swings. We're asking that you maintain our flexibility right now and allowing us to introduce this resolution, with our intent being to bring the resolution back at a later date in an effort to, if it arises that we need to ban more ceremoniously ban open burning within the county. Now, I think it's important that I note right here that for the entire series of time that you see depicted here on the screen, open burning has essentially been banned in Bernalillo County. And I've talked with some of you individually about this. Bernalillo, we have the mechanism within the county fire code that allows us to ban burning on an individual day. We have had that essentially in place for the entirety of this. The risk that exists by us maintaining that, despite changes in the weather conditions that you see depicted here in these charts, is that we run the risk that we're sending the wrong message to the community, that it is not okay to burn at all, and if they do need to burn some kind of waste, or if there is some need for burning, they may try to do that on a day that's less productive, or a day that we can't clearly identify as a low-risk burning day. And so our goal is to maintain that level of flexibility going forward. This year, we have some new tools that I think are important to mention. And I think the community needs to know that this is available as well. So we have access to some artificial intelligence-based panoramic cameras that were purchased and supported under a cooperation between the New Mexico State Forestry Division and PNM and Xcel Energy. And the goal there was really to identify fires very early on in their incipient stage and allow us to deploy resources really quickly to bring them under control as quickly as possible. We also have some satellite detection capability that exists through the National Weather Service that's also proven reliable in helping us identify those fires at their very, very early stages. We receive alerts whenever there's a qualifying event, and then we get a triangulation of exactly where it is. We can tell in the first probably 15 or 20 minutes exactly where the incident is happening, and that helps us deploy resources directly to the site and bring it under control more quickly. And I think that's in part the use of this technology has helped us bring incidents under control and keep them from becoming large-scale incidents in the county. We have an ask, though, of the community. We want to make sure that we have a consistent message across all of the departments, and that the community is maintaining a constant state of readiness for an evacuation should one be needed. And so here's the metric by which we're measuring our readiness to respond, the community's readiness to respond. We're asking you if we identify that your home or the area that you're in is is identified as an area that is directly at risk of a current wildfire. So there's a wildfire in the area and it could potentially pose a risk to you. We will notify you that you need to be ready. And what that means is you need to have all of your important documents. You need to have your property in a place where you can quickly gather it all, and you need to maintain a state of readiness. If we tell you that your area is in a set posture, we want you to have all of that ready in your vehicles, ready to go, and ready to evacuate at a moment's notice. And if we tell you to go, we're just asking you to leave. We want you to get out. That's the only way that we know for sure that we'll be able to protect you. We want to make sure that the community knows early on, and we're gonna pull that trigger, for lack of a better term, as early as we know that a community or area within the county is at immediate risk. I think it can't be overstated how serious the situation is. That being said, we're ready to respond to these incidents. Our most recent data shows an improvement over the last few weeks. We don't know what the weather's going to look like in the next 3 or 4 weeks. We initially considered conducting a county-wide burn ban. We have identified that that poses some risks in its own right, and we have the authority to ban on a daily basis, and that ban has been in place. I know that was one of the concerns that was brought up at the very beginning of this meeting. We're asking that the community help report campfires in the bosque. They identify open burning somewhere, especially when we're set on a no burn day. We want to know about that early on. We will address that from an enforcement standpoint right at the site where they're actually burning. We want people to call the burn line before they burn, and we want to make sure that they're engaged in safe practices across the board, including securing chains, making sure that their campfires are completely out. All of those things to help keep our community safe during this difficult time. With that, we stand for questions.
Thank you, Chief.
Oh, I also should mention Gabriel Villegas is here from Public Works and Solid Waste, and he would be able to answer any questions as far as disposal of waste, green waste, that kind of thing.
If I could, Gabe, if you don't mind, can you just talk about the last numbers in terms of what people have been clearing from their properties? It's actually pretty remarkable.
Sure. Thank you, Chair, Commission, County Manager. We at Solid Waste have been aggressively helping the East Mountain residents and all Bernalillo County residents, for that matter, dispose of waste throughout the county, and we try to hit a lot of underserved areas. With that being said, let me talk a little bit about kind of what we do. We have a IGA with Ciudad Soil and Water Conservation District where we're able to offer 2 green waste events annually. You know, we do a fall one and a spring one. So this last fall, we had a total of 379 tons of green waste disposed of. And this last spring green waste event that just happened here in April 27th through May 10th, we had an increase of 68.5% in participants disposing of waste, which totaled out in 1,200 tons of green waste that was removed from the East Mountain area. Now, we also had a grant with the state of New Mexico, the Calinda grant, which allowed us to offer free dumping weekends up in the East Mountains, which that took place on March 14th and 15th. And then we had one on April 11th and 12th. And that totaled out in about, the March event was 122 tons. And then the April event was 170 tons, which helps, alleviate all that kind of trash, debris, green waste from the area. That way they can kind of mitigate some of that fire hazards from around their homes. Now, the clean community cleanups that we have, there's a number of them left up in the East Mountain area.
And we can share that schedule with you if you'd like. We have a total of 5 still in that area that are going to take place throughout the remainder of the season. And there's a total of 13 throughout the county total that are still ongoing. And they're kind of strategically placed throughout the county so we can kind of serve, areas that might be underserved, for disposal, or maybe they have a high concentration of illegal dumping going on in the areas. With that being said, I'll stand for any questions if anybody has any.
Thank you. Alrighty, I just have a quick question, just if I'm, in regards to, and I think I saw it in the materials. I know I have these pictures in my mind of the fires that throughout the country. I'm not sure if there was in your board materials or where I saw that, but I saw 3 pictures today of the fire in, where did I see it? In Colorado, the fire in Hawaii, and the fire in where? In California, yeah, Palisades and Altadena, although it wasn't, I don't think it included Altadena, but I just think a lot in terms of prevention and sort of public awareness, because a ban is one thing, right? I mean, we ban all sorts of illegal substances, but it doesn't seem to stop illegal activity, right? But I do believe in public education and awareness, and I will say, as a person who's hiked the Sandia Mountains extensively, especially during COVID with a friend of mine who is now a retired chief of our fire department, and I remember thinking about that, and as we walked there, him pointing out there's fuel here, there's fuel there. I mean, I just really got sensitized to that issue and that concern. And I'm just wondering, what efforts do we have in place to not just to educate and quite frankly, frighten people to the point that they take this seriously? Obviously, they have with the cleanup efforts that Mr. Viescas has talked about, but to an even greater extent. Is there efforts underway for that?
There are. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair, Commissioners. It's a really important point, and I think this is definitely something that I should have brought up earlier. But we have, like I mentioned, we have the whole of the county government focused on addressing this problem. We've had an amazing amount of support from the communication teams, from Paul and the rest of the group at Communications, that to work in specifically that vein, communicating directly to the people to the people that we serve, the risk that exists, and helping them understand how to mitigate that risk to the best they can. So what you're going to see over the next couple of months is a calculated campaign that addresses specific risks targeted directly at wildfire, locally in our community. And you're going to see our people, our firefighters, our Bernalillo County employees show up in a lot of those videos and a lot of those ads to help raise the profile of this message and raise the awareness specifically around wildfire safety. We're working in close coordination with the communication team to make sure that we get that message out there. And it's going to go out via social media, via the traditional media forms, and then interviews with local media outlets.
Thank you. Commissioner?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Obviously, you guys are going a different direction than I am. I was just reading, effective Friday, May 8th, that was last Friday, the Sandia Ranger District, our nearest neighbor in the East Mountains, effective stage 1 fire restrictions, which is effectively no burning. It's almost exactly what the resolution that was proposed to withdraw said, right? That you can only use enclosed stoves within, a large proximity of fuels. So our federal partners, who, right now I would definitely think are far more conservative about this kind of thing than we are, they thought a ban was in order. I also was just looking up the Doghead Fire, started in June. It was quite a while ago now, but that was in the East Mountains. We also had the event in Carnwell that, was a very small fire, but nevertheless a very scary situation for a lot of folks. I believe that was in May. The Calf Canyon Hermit's Peak Fire, the most devastating fire in our state's history. I think it started in April, but raged in May and into June and July. I think we're making a huge mistake here. And on the issue of public messaging, I don't think there's a better way to say it's not safe to burn outside right now than saying the county has fire restrictions in place. I understand what you're saying about giving that flexibility, but one wrong move will be devastating, especially in my district. You know, in the Bosque, I'm worried, but I'm not as worried because we have literally thousands of firefighters 10 minutes away. It's not the same in the East Mountains. My residents, many of them who've lived there for decades, way longer than I've been around, will tell you they've never seen a year like this. And I think we're gonna see a lot more of them. I don't think this is the first one. I think, as I said earlier in the very beginning, I think we should have started this. I know you all were doing this and messaging and looking and watching, and Tom, your system is great, your spreadsheets and your calculations that you're doing on this. So I know behind the scenes we're doing this, but I'm just being very, very honest with you. I didn't see it. Like, as a member of the public, I didn't feel it. I didn't see the level of urgency that, like I said, my residents who've lived there their whole lives have said, it's never been like this. And you said that, you said as much. So yeah, I'm very concerned that we're proposing not to take any action on this, to wait, see if the weather improves. I mean, May and June are traditionally our hottest and driest months. You know, I was looking at the weather forecast. It looks like maybe it's gonna cool down a little bit, but who knows? I mean, we're literally trying to predict the weather when people's lives and property are on the line, as well as animals and ecosystems and trees and, you know, all the other beautiful things that we love about our East Mountains and our whole region. So anyway, I think it's a mistake, but that's fine. You know, I think we have, our team is telling us otherwise, and so, you know, what do I know? That's fine.
May I respond to that through the chair? Or maybe not respond, but why don't you just explain a little bit about what changed your thinking? I think it would be beneficial for the commission to hear that. And let me just say, Commissioner, and to all of you, when the staff approached me and others to explain what a challenging situation we're in, we made some changes right away. And I do want to just acknowledge the point that Commissioner Olivas, you're raising about, like, how do you feel it? Because I will tell you, listening to the news, I hear red flag warning so often, it doesn't, you get inured to it, like you don't hear it anymore. And so we were really trying to think about what do we do to change up the environment. So our senior staff, as you probably know, convene every Monday to go through what are the hot issues, so to speak, my pun. And one of the things that we put on our agenda is this issue. So every week, the senior staff is highly engaged in discussions about what each department can be doing and are doing. And one of the things I want to point out is that the reason we have the team from 3 different departments and communications, and they didn't present tonight, but that are part of that inner team, is because we really recognize that the threats that we're facing across the globe are so different and become more and more dire every year that we do have to be prepared for emergencies in a way that we didn't think about, years ago. And that's whether it's wildfire, quality of air, heat waves. COVID was another really good example. And what's more challenging is we're not seeing one incident, we're seeing incident after incident after incident. And so we're really working to restructure the way we're responding, recognizing that we're frankly in a higher level of alert on an ongoing basis, and it's only going to get worse. That's my feeling about it. So one of the reasons we were coming to you with this resolution is the staff already every day can say ban, 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 and we can do press around that. But we wanted to be able to come forward with something that said, we think there has to be a ban from this time to this time. We're just kind of, for lack of a better word, sort of being more definitive over what the extended period of time would be. But one of the things they also did was went out and talked to our partners. And I think you just need to explain the thinking of our partners and then I'm going to ask our Aaron just to talk a little bit about the communication.
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam County Manager. Mr. Chair, Commissioners, so what the county manager is talking about here was our briefing that happened yesterday. That I had this eye-opening experience last week while in a meeting with Sandia Pueblo. And I recognize that the way we go, or how we go in Bernalillo County, so goes a lot of the area around us. They depend on us to make sure that we're doing our due diligence and make sure that we're acting in a way that is reasonable and defensible. And one of the things that they brought to my attention was that in a lot of communities, fire is used as a tool to limit the progression of other fires that could potentially be much more severe if it's not used in a controlled fashion and on days that it's very appropriate to be used. And so what I kind of recognized from having that discussion was that us formalizing a ban of burning across the board without response to how on a daily basis those conditions can change and they can improve really significantly pretty quickly would be us potentially doing those other partners a disservice because they're gonna follow us and they're gonna restrict burning on days where maybe it's not as necessary. And what that might translate to is the residents or the people that they serve that might otherwise listen to their direction might not listen to it when we absolutely need them to not be burning. And so it's really about our credibility and making sure that we're making a good responsive decision. But to address directly Commissioner Olivas's concern about us banning burning, to be clear, since for all the time that you see depicted in the charts that we presented tonight, open burning has been banned in Bernalillo County. We have the authority to do that on a daily basis. It has been banned. And what we've realized is that there may come a situation in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks where that changes, and initiating a formal ban locks us into, we have to come back to the commission in order to adjust that if the weather conditions improve. And again, we don't know whether they'll improve. They may or they may not improve. And if not, we may continue down this path of formalizing this ban. Right now, we just have some flexibility. We're asking you to maintain that flexibility for us.
And then,
Mr. Chair. And I'm sorry, I wasn't intending this to become a back and forth, but apparently it is. So, by the way, so the Forest Service was a month late. They did 5/8. State Forestry did an open ban on 4/6. And to that last point about having to come back to the commission, I bet I could come up with an amendment. I bet any of us in here could, on the fly here, that could say, or as rescinded as weather conditions permit. I mean, I don't think that's, anyway, you all don't agree with me, and that's fine, but I just think when the state forester and the United States Forest Service are in agreement that there should not be any burning, and I agree with you, humans in industrialized society have forgotten how to use fire other than some of our indigenous neighbors, and that has not served us well, right? That's the reason we have the fuel loads we do. So I agree with you there, but I don't think you're proposing that we're going to allow, prescribed burns in the East Mountains on private property. No. I don't think that's a good idea right now, and I don't think that's what you're saying. So again, I don't know. I think we can move on because, if you all want to bring this back later, I think you should, but I hope it's not too late. So,
thank you. Commissioner Benson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I was flying back and I was talking to you, Chief, about this from Florida this weekend. And we had a layover in Houston and it was canceled. So we had to rebook to Austin. It was because of rainstorms. And we had to rebook to Austin, then that was canceled because of rainstorms. So the pilot had to fly over Mexico, down south over Mexico, to avoid it as we flew up to Las Vegas. So, and then I was hoping, man, I'm hoping that some of that moisture is coming here. And you were telling me that it has been, which is part of what's influenced this decision. Of all the firefighters I know, they take fire more seriously than I do. And I take it seriously, but the firefighters know how damaging it can be more than anybody else. And I'm glad the Forest Service is making their calls. But they're also the ones that caused the Calf Canyon fire in the first place. They're the ones that lit it. And then it got out of control and destroyed, a lot of damage. So, yeah, I trust what you're saying. Also, we have the flexibility to call this when we need to. And then my last concern, and when you were talking originally about, banning all fires, my concern has been more that it's the honest people that will follow this. What my concern is, the people camping in the bosque, cooking their food and when there's not supposed to be any fires. In North Albuquerque Acres, if somebody's burning their tumbleweeds and there's a no burn day, guarantee all the neighbors are gonna call on that person and firefighters are gonna be there right away. These kind of bans really keep the honest people honest. And then for enforcement, if there is a countywide ban, that raises the cost for enforcement, which is no small thing, and it can be hard to manage. So, I don't think we should I think we should be listening to the experts on when is the right time. And, thank you for your information.
All right, thank you. Anything else, staff, any other comments?
Oh, go ahead, Commissioner Barboa.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say I move approval.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. So my question, and just for clarification, do we move for approval to adopt this resolution and take it to the next meeting, I think, which is, what was one idea? And the other thought was to adopt it tonight and not bring it forward at the next meeting. So just in terms of clarification of that, is your motion to suspend the rules and adopt it immediately, or to just to move it into approval for purposes of introduction tonight and then final review at the next meeting?
I mean, I like the original plan to introduce tonight. Move.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
That's the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion and a second. Any other discussion?
And Mr. Chair, just for the record, as originally placed into the record earlier this meeting, it's a amended motion.
Thank you.
For approval of introduction, so a number will not need to be issued, and it will come back at a subsequent meeting for final adoption.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there anything we need to say in terms of giving the public opportunity to speak?
We should convene the public hearing just to give the opportunity. However, I don't believe we have anybody who signed up. No.
Okay. And I just call out into the audience, if there was anybody here to speak on that topic, please come forward or raise your hand. And not seeing anybody doing so thank you. All righty, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Olivas.
Yes.
Commissioner Benson.
Yes.
Commissioner Baca.
Yes.
Commissioner Barboa.
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution passes 4-0. Righty, thank you all. The next item would be for approval of the Urban Agricultural Master Plan, with Parks and Recreation, Open Space, and sponsor is Chair Barboa. And I don't know if she wants to make an opening.
Yeah, I'd like to just open. I'd like to say that I'm really proud. You know, my district is the only district that is fully inside the incorporated parts of Albuquerque. But our county, our residents still pay taxes, county taxes. And we're proud of the work we've gotten to do. And I'm really proud of the work I got to walk into that our incredible team in pros, parks, recs, open space, we're already doing, had done thorough engagement with the community across, specifically the International District, but really across my whole district, the Marble Gardens. And this plan really shows the process in which, and I think the reason why the work has been so successful and really so productive in our community is because the county, their leadership has really taken that time to do those community gatherings, to get community buy-in, to ask what, when, how the community wants to move. And I think that's the case in this new urban ag plan that's updated. It's really responsive. Folks attend meetings inside my community and they really listen and hold meetings to get input on this. So I'm really proud of this urban ag plan for my district and what it can mean, especially in this time when we're trying to really focus resources around this area that was already in need, and now with who knows what with the state fair development, that we really need to focus in on this area. So I'm really proud, and I move approval of the urban ag plan. I'm not sure if somebody is there. Sorry, I'm not in person. If somebody's there and wants to present, but I do want to hear any presentation anyone wants to give, and I move approval and ask my colleagues to support.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. And we do have Ms. Sabrana here to present, if you would like to go forward.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, County Manager. My name is Mari Simbanya, Open Space Manager for Bernalillo County Parks, Recreation, and Open Space. This motion is for approval and adoption of the Bernalillo County Urban Agriculture Master Plan. Bernalillo County Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Department has completed the 2026 Urban Agriculture Master Plan to guide the Bernalillo County Open Space Urban Ag Program. This is consistent with the Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Master Plan goals for community health and community-based agriculture. The plan presents short, medium, and long-term goals and recommendations which strengthen the capacity of the program through staffing and tailored programming and maintaining its focus primarily in the Greater International District. We will be reallocating existing budget for the related expenses. The Bernalillo County International District Urban Agriculture Plan was the first iteration of this plan and was created in 2019 after the county acquired a small urban open space property near the International District. And this was to support community health through programming and green space development. A steering committee of community members, organizations, county staff, and agency representatives guided the plan to ensure it reflected the community needs. And since that time, when implementation began, we as Bernalillo County have continued coordinating regular meetings, supporting projects such as the development of Marble Open Space and Alleyway Activation Project, Youth Conservation Corps work, a permaculture grant, and educational outreach activities, reinforcing urban agriculture as both food production and community building. 5 years later, we found it was time to update the plan to reflect changed needs, conditions, and opportunities, and a newly acquired property. So now there are 2 urban open spaces that connect us directly to the residents of the Greater International District. Marble Open Space was purchased in 2018, a site plan was created in 2019, and it was completed in 2020. A trail, landscaping with irrigation, and shade structure now offer a place to connect with nature as well as a teaching space. 317 Wyoming was acquired in 2024. A site plan completed, irrigation has been installed, and the next step is to install a shade structure. The focus of this site will be hands-on learning about gardening and the outdoors and a community garden managed by community partners. One of the big motivations of the plan update is this new property and focusing on how it can truly serve the community. There were many opportunities for the community to give input into the plan, as Madam Chair Barboa was mentioning, via the process managed by our consultant Anthropopoulos. Events, surveys, small group discussions, site visits, and urban ag network meetings through this, approximately 700 members of the community participated. And what we learned is that community members view urban agriculture as a way to strengthen community connections, provide nourishment, and maintain green spaces. And all of this is really speaking to community pride and civics. Participants requested more consistent and culturally diverse programming, clear communication about Bernalillo County's urban ag services, greater access to resources such as seeds, tools, mulch, and technical assistance. Feedback also emphasized prioritizing staff support for the program. The 2026 Master Plan responds to needs and opportunities that have shifted over time and offers a renewed set of recommendations for the next 5 years aligned with current and projected county capacity. Key recommendations include hiring dedicated full-time urban agriculture staff, enhancing collaborations for resource sharing and educational support, and continuing to develop programming, investing in gardens and open spaces as centers for learning. Implementation will be accomplished with existing open space budget. Through broadening community outreach, improved programming, and activating the 317 Wyoming community garden space, we will be enhancing the overall quality of life in Bernalillo County. So in conclusion, I respectfully ask for your adoption of this plan, and I stand for questions.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Director Simban.
Sorry, yeah, Madam Chair, did you make a motion to approve?
I did, and Commissioner Olivas had seconded it. I did it all before the presentation.
Okay, that's right. Thank you so much. That's right. All right, any further discussion, comments? I would just like to say I'm excited about this. I didn't know a whole lot about it, but the more I read about it and I heard about it, I mean, I haven't seen it. I'm anxious to go see it. I hope somebody invites me for a tour to go show me exactly what it is. It's exciting, and I think it goes back to what we've been talking about in terms of how we want our community to look and our role in creating that vision of how our community should look and to, I think it's so creative and so appropriate for this district to have these agriculture opportunities. To me, it's exciting. Yeah, I just compliment everybody involved, the chair, Madam Chair, I know who's been spearheading this, and staff as well. I want to say it correctly, Simbanya. Great job on this. To me, it's a fantastic program. So thank you all. And unless there's any other discussions, I would entertain. Is this a roll call vote item?
Yes.
Madam Clerk?
Yes. Commissioner Olivas?
Yes.
Commissioner Benson?
Yes.
Commissioner Baca?
Yes.
Commissioner Barboa?
Yes, enthusiastically and gratefully.
All right. Thank you. Passes 4-0. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair Barca and Commissioners.
All righty. The next item, I believe, is the acquisition of 301 Shirk Lane Southwest. I know, I think our real estate department is here, and perhaps somebody from Parks as well. I would like to make a few opening comments, and I'd like to ask Commissioner Olivas as well. And the reason I think it's appropriate, Commissioner Olivas to comment is because the genesis for a new park in this area came, I believe, from Commissioner Olivas, and before I was on this commission, and I don't know the full thought process or how that came about, but I do know this, that not being a resident of Mountain View, but living right directly across the river, I've been following the challenges in that community for all my adult life, which is many, many years, I would say. When this opportunity came up to do something that I think is not just good, but spectacular, I was just so excited, and I think I told Frank when I first heard about it, the extent to which this is being developed is probably the best day ever as a county commissioner. And the reason why there's so many opportunities with this in terms of a park, and that's how it came up, is a park. A park can take, what, 3 acres, 4 acres, whatever, a park, and that's yet to be decided, yet to be designed. But also there's been some discussion, mostly actually from our legislative delegation, about the potential for a new community center. But as we all know, that is a major lift in terms of costs and planning, and that's something way down the road. But the size of this lot gives us that opportunity to think about that. And then the third option here, or objective and benefit, is open space. They tell me that a community center is about 7 acres is a basic size of most community centers. So we're talking about having acquired 40 acres and having 30 acres for open space. And I just think that's just an amazing opportunity. But somebody said earlier, and I can't remember which the speaker was, I certainly appreciate those that spoke against that with their concern, the Villegas family. As I mentioned, I have great respect for the family. I knew Ralph Villegas, the patriarch of that family, is a man, a personal friend of mine, and I had great respect and relationship with. But I think that somebody said, and I can't remember who it was, that the key is in the planning of this. And if we're going to do it, let's do it right. And I think that's so crucial to really involve the community in a planning process to do this right. I've attended, I think, at least 6, 7 meetings in the Mountain View area that address this issue. And the best meeting I've ever attended, I've attended at least 150 since I've been a commissioner, neighborhood association. The best meeting I've ever attended as of a neighborhood type since I've been commissioner was at Mountain View Elementary School with those elementary school children, where they presented their ideas and their enthusiasm for this park and their ideas. And the one, somebody mentioned the one concept of, and I can't remember, of being concerned for children in wheelchairs. But there's also a child who said, I want a place to sit with my grandma, my abuela. I want a place where she can sit while I play. And, you know, I mean, that was just an amazing meeting. There was, I don't know how many people there, you know, all the kids, their parents, I don't know who was happier, the kids or their parents. And beside that, all the other meetings. So there has been a great community engagement process, but that's just the beginning of this. This is the beginning of this. So if this acquisition is approved, to take it to the next step, and I don't think anybody that knows me that doesn't understand that I'm going to push very hard for community engagement. I think that's my philosophy. It's part of my DNA that has to be a part of what we do in this commission, is to go to the community and listen and hear what they have to say, get their input and things. So I'm just very thankful and excited about this opportunity to acquire this property and to really get involved with the community and plan it and think about it and do it in a very smart way that addresses the concerns and also benefits the community, especially the children in that community. So I would like to ask Commissioner Olivas if he'd make a few comments about that initial appropriation, which was $1 million for a park in Mountain View.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chair. You know, I appreciate the acknowledgement and the history, and more than that, I just appreciate that we have a commissioner from District 2 that really is listening to the community and trusting the community in what they need. And, you know, at the time when this sort of came to the fore, you know, hearing from folks like Genevieve and Marla and, you know, so many of the good, hardworking people in that neighborhood, you know, got to learn about the real issues in that community that this park is not going to solve. I mean, this park is not going to deal with a legacy, generations of pollution and environmental racism and lack of planning and development controls, those kinds of things. You know, this isn't going to fix that, but this all really started out of that, right? Hearing that frustration of the community around those issues that had just been perpetually ignored and just, you know, let's look the other way. And, you know, we did our level best to try and start righting that wrong, and I'm not going to say that we're anywhere near that. But, this was part of a package, really, that I think was designed to kind of try to meet that plea for help. And so it included, which I do hope we can get an update at some point on. I know we've gotten them sporadically, but it also included direction of a sector plan, I believe. I may be using the wrong word, but a sector plan through the planning development section and through our natural resources division, the development of really an environmental assessment, right? So that we could get our hands and eyes around, what has gone on here, where are the key sites, what are the things we need to really be looking for the future. So, kind of how do we reverse this trend? How do we try to look back and start fixing some of this stuff? And then the future part of that was this park, right? Was listening to the community that was saying, look, we don't have a place to play. We don't have a good place for kids and families to hang out. And so, we tried to craft this package to do that. And so it's really rewarding to be here now a few years later and, see that our staff, John Barney, man, you get things done. And I know it's because you have other folks supporting you. But, you did this with Los Vecinos. So I have no doubt that you're going to move mountains and get this park done. So I'm just excited to be able to see this making progress. And I know it's going to continue to make progress because of the folks in the community. And I do want to address those concerns. There's folks that have, those are real, those are legitimate concerns. But I want to say that I've worked on this in my district for similar things, open space, Cedillo Ridge open space. And we crafted a resolution that I believe was able to satisfy all of the community concerns around that. And so I think we can do that here too. I think we can make those kinds of changes, those kinds of stipulations. There were several of you that had really good constructive feedback that said, hey, what if you lock this in and say no more than 10% can be converted to something else, right? I would support those things. Now, this is in my area. I don't know it as well as I do the East Mountains, those things. But I think there's a way that we can make sure that the community is protected and respected. At the same time, we move this forward. So I really appreciate the acknowledgement, Mr. Vice Chair, and just excited to be here and see it moving forward.
Thank you. All righty. We have staff that would like to present, and I'd like to hear them.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. My name is Sarah Love, and I am a real property agent with the Real Estate Department. Ben McIntosh couldn't be here, and I'm the best choice after that. So the item before you now is agenda item number 10B, a request by Real Estate to authorize the county manager to execute a purchase agreement for the purchase of 301 Shirk Lane Southwest, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87105, and to execute any subsequent amendments and all documents to perfect the title in the proposed property acquisition. The subject matter is approximately 43 acres. The property does also include a barn. The property is located within the boundaries of Bernalillo County and is at the northwest corner of Shirk Lane Southwest and the Bar Canal. The property is zoned A1, and the proposed park use will require conditional use approval, which will be applied for once closing has been completed. The purchase of the property is for the Mountain View Restorative Justice Park and Open Space, and will serve the local community by providing a healthy park and open space outdoor recreation opportunities to residents living in the area of the county that was disproportionately impacted by land use changes and public infrastructure investments during the second half of the 20th century. The purchase is a one-time funded request for $2,420,000, which is the open space mill levy and general funds allocated as part of AR 2024-34. I'm now going to turn this over to John Barney, planning manager, so that he could speak to our slides.
Thank you, Sarah. And
Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. John Barney, Planning Manager for Parks, Recreation, and Open Space. Grateful to be here at this juncture to be actually acquiring a piece of property that's going to fulfill the promise of and implement AR 2024-34 that Commissioner Olivas just spoke to. But it's also, I think, really important to acknowledge that this is preserving agricultural lands for our future food system, our local food system. And the majority of this acreage will continue to be farmland going forward. And part of that, the insurance against that, I know some people have raised some concerns about that, but we are using mill levy funds for the majority of the acquisition. So that funding has a stipulation, it only be used for open space uses, any property is purchased. But that's also why we have a portion of the funding is coming from the $1 million that was appropriated as part of the resolution, and that's enabling us to purchase 4.5 acres or set aside 4.5 acres. That is, and that basically the $261,000 corresponds to the value of 4.5 acres in this part of Mountain View based on our informal in-house appraisals. And so that's why we have two different sources of funding, specifically so that we can, move forward in future months, go through the replatting process, I should say, and go forward to actually get a conditional use for that parcel. And that parcel is actually shown right here. We're thinking that this particular piece of the property would be particularly suitable for that. It actually is about 4.5 acres between those different hedgerows. It is relatively easy to connect up to this elementary school via the trail that runs right along the diversion ditch, and it's also right adjacent to one of the laterals, so part of the ditch system that goes further south. So we're really excited to be moving forward on that. Like I said, it implements policies, as was mentioned, in the sector development plan. It will be before you all, I think, sometime later this fiscal year, before the end of the fiscal year. And also the PROS master plan exists. We're going to be starting up a process to update that plan, create the PROS plus T plan. I'm told is what we'll be calling it, but it also implements the green print policies in terms of preserving agricultural lands. And like Ms. Simbanya talked about, agriculture and local agriculture is our salvation. Basically from a health standpoint, we know that food is our medicine, and local food is the best medicine that we can serve ourselves and our children and our elders going forward. We need to preserve that capacity going forward. So this does that. But another piece of this that was alluded to by both commissioners, Mr. Chairman and Commissioner Olivas, is that this process of creating this park is restoring justice. And it's not just the actual act of, the resolution and the park being created. It's a process of sharing that happens in this process. The sharing of kind of what people have experienced over the course of the late 20th century, early 21st century, living in this neighborhood. Restorative justice is contingent upon sharing of those stories, and by undertaking the community engagement process that we have undertaken that is involving the community every step of the way, those stories can be shared, that information can be shared. And it is our hope that at the completion of this park, we have interpretive signage that talks and speaks to that, so that person, that young kid who's going to be sitting with his abuela or her abuela on a bench, can actually know the story of Mountain View and how this shifted the conversation, not only in this place, but across the country, from being as one of the hotbeds of the environmental justice movement going forward. So, but furthermore, we look at our parks and recreation system to provide community health benefits. It's part of what we would consider between the local food aspects for the open space portion, but also the recreation components. It is a way to create more resilient communities, and meaningful conversations that are created by our community conversations are also what contribute to community resilience. And I want to shout out to our Deputy County Manager Townsend, who's really helped us to kind of reframe how we do community process and use the process for this particular facility and this planning process as a way to unveil and kind of rethink how we do that going forward. And I also want to shout out to Jake Mirabal, who's over there, who's the director of ABC Schools, who's enabled us to have young families and kids weigh in directly on our park planning process. And this is a first for us, and we are, undertaking subsequent efforts in other parts of the county to do the same thing. So that's, and for me, I mean, no offense to anybody in this room, but most of the time when we do community meetings, there's a few elderly folks, kind of look more like me, maybe have a little more or less hair, but, and come from similar backgrounds. But now having kids and young families in the process of actually thinking and planning, giving them agency, giving them a voice in the process is really, I think, one of the amazing parts of this process, and is instrumental for, from our standpoint in terms of how we do these things going forward. How this benefits our community, I've spoken about that, about the health component, but typically when we invest in and this is documented in literature elsewhere, but when you create an open space and preserve open space, it generates not only improvements to environmental and public health indicators, but also property values. So I just want to be really clear, that is pretty much set clearly in literature. We haven't done a study here precisely what might that look like, but anyway, I just want to make sure responded to that. But I think, from our standpoint in parks, and particularly in open space, preservation of ag land ensures future growing capacity. And this is the third time I've said it, but local food is the key to our vitality over the long haul. In terms of the funding, we've discussed that, or I've shared about that already, and so has Sarah. We will be, the total acquisition is $2.4 million. Lion's share of that is open space mill levy. And we will be moving forward, like I said, in some of our next steps to really move forward to undertake the entitlements work that we need to do. Of course, we need to complete the property acquisition, and that's our hope tonight, and that's what we're advocating for tonight. But we look forward to continuing the design process that we started with the students at the elementary school. They will continue to be involved going forward. Probably their 5th grade class at this point is what I'm told, working with Jake and with the principal there. And, of course, with the community, with the neighborhood association. And we hope to be done with that by the end of 2026 and moving into construction in 2027 for a neighborhood park. But that's all contingent upon tonight's vote to support us going forward and giving the county manager our authorization to enable us to acquire this property. So with that, I stand for questions.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Chair Barbara?
No, thank you. Is there a motion?
I would move to approve.
Second.
Okay, thank you. And I would just like to make one shout out, and I'm glad, John, you mentioned that the whole concept of community conversation that DCM Townsend initiated, and yeah, that was just amazing. And hopefully that continues to be duplicated. It has been duplicated actually in our district I know it's Vecinos del Bosque as well, and to have all the different departments come out and invite the community and listen to the community and have, people ask me, wow, you go to a lot of meetings, and I said, yeah, but I'm having fun, having fun at these meetings because of the input. And it's not that we always agree, but it's important to always hear and listen, and that's what I think is the role of local government. So I'll thank you all for your work on this, and it's just, I'm just very, very happy tonight, Commissioner.
I actually wanted to raise one question. It's sort of a question / comment, but Mr. Barney, can you tell us a little bit, and especially for the members of the audience that have stuck with us here all the way to the end for this really important item. We heard some concerns from the community about this, right? Ways that people might be impacted. And again, I'm just thinking to the work that we've done together at like Los Vecinos Community Center, where we heard a lot of input from community members about the skate park there when it was in the old location, right? And so one of the things you guys did is you actually moved the skate park in the redesign to accommodate that community input, like to make sure that the community was heard and that we were addressing that concern. And so, could you speak a little bit to that? I know that really this is just the beginning. Well, it's not the beginning. This has been going on for a while, but this is just the beginning of the sort of construction process. And I think you're really thoughtful, your department's really thoughtful about how you make sure you take in that input and try to meet people where they're at. Can you speak to that a little bit about how you might be able to do that and where that comes in?
Sure, thank you, Commissioner Olivas and Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. So we do pretty extensive community processes on all our facilities, as you are familiar with, ones in the East Mountains, Commissioner Olivas. So we will continue the community conversations that we have started over the course of the last 2 years. I mean, we've basically identified a program through that process, and we've looked at what the acreage we needed to do that. We spent a lot of time polling people on where the location should be. The reason why this is actually in the running is because this was slightly edged out, another area further to the north, near the water utility. It's part of the Yes Housing site, so we were able to figure out a way, to acquire property, basically because we heard from the community that this was important to them, that it be close to the elementary school, and that it be kind of in an area where there were more residents than other areas. So that process now it's like we have, subject to tonight's vote, we have a possibility of a parcel of land to then fit that program to. And so that's the process going forward. And that's not just us. That's not what John Barney wants or consultants want. It's a process. It's a conversation as well. And we'll be having at least 2 to 3 more community meetings going forward through the design process. And so there will be plenty of opportunity for folks to weigh in and, along with the kids, which I agree with Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Baca. That was one of my favorite community meetings in my entire career as a landscape architect and planner. So I hope for more of those moments. But I also look forward to the challenging conversations, because that's always a part of what we have to do. And not everybody is happy with everything. John Barney isn't happy with everything necessarily how it turns out, and that's okay. That's part of the process. So. And we're excited to engage in that process going forward.
I appreciate that answer, Mr. Barney, and just, again, thinking of those facilities in the East Mountains where you all have gone out of your way to meet the community where it's at, but also closer to our neck of the woods, and we just talked about open space, the Marble open space. When we first cut the ribbon on that, I was there, and very shortly after, I heard some concerns from community members about things that were happening there. And I've asked that community member, we're still friends and close. I ask her every time I see her, how is Marble looking? How are you seeing anything going on there? And the answer has consistently been, no, it's great. And the last time I talked to her, she said, I don't even know anymore, because I'm not even looking for that stuff, because it's great. So, the point being that I'm just trying to make to the community is that I really do think we have a staff here in this department that cares about trying to meet you guys where you're at, trying to meet those concerns and try to there's people that really want this, there's people that don't want this, and how do we make it something that everybody can meet on? And that's what a compromise is, right? That not everybody gets what they want. Everybody may be a little unhappy, but in the end, it meets as many needs as possible. And I know you're going to strive to do that. And happy to see this move forward, and glad you're at the helm.
Thank you, Commissioner Olivas. Thank you, members of the commission, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you all. Any other comments? We had a motion, I believe we have a second. And so we would ask for a roll call vote. Is that correct, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Olivas?
Yes.
Commissioner Benson?
Yes.
Commissioner Baca?
Yes.
Commissioner Barboa?
Yes.
Thank you all. Passes 4-0. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Supporting that. I believe this comes to the conclusion of our meeting tonight, with the next meeting being Wednesday, May 27th, the Board of Finance at 4 o'clock in this chambers, and on the same date at 5 p.m., the Bernalillo County regular administrative meeting as well. Thank you all. Have a good evening. Meeting is adjourned.